Welcome to today's webinar, Restaurant AI, Transforming Operations and Growth. Hot topic for sure. So I'm looking forward to digging in. I am your host, Jamie Oikel, owner and founder of runningrestaurants.com. Joining me is my co-host, friend, and colleague, Roger Bodwin of restaurantrockstars.com. Raj, what is AI? What are we talking about?
Yeah, so everybody knows at least a basic level that AI is artificial intelligence and essentially systems that learn from data. And learn is the key word because the more you use it, the more it learns your business, the more it learns your patterns and everything, and you'll get more robust information the longer and the more you query it and work with it. So it automates decisions or tasks, but that's essentially what it is at a very basic level. As you know, the biggest challenges right now are labor and rising labor costs and staffing shortages. That remains a major problem for restaurants today. And of course, shrinking margins. And it's really hard to keep offering value to your guests when your costs keep rising and you can't keep raising prices on your food because at some point your customers are going to say, that's not a value any longer. So margins are shrinking, costs are rising. A lot of restaurants out there, I do travel the country. I talk to lots of restaurant operators. I ask them a lot of questions, and I still see that there are a lot of operators running by the seat of their pants. There's no systems in place, and their margins, that's another reason why their margins are low. There's a lot of inefficiency out there. Competition is stronger than it's ever been. And of course, AI is happening now. Like Jamie said, it's obsolete the next minute, and it keeps changing and moving forward, and it is certainly the future, and nobody knows where it's going to go. So that's why it matters right this second. The really interesting thing about AI is it's replacing, if it has not already replaced Google, because most of us are used to Googling things, right? You go into Google and you ask a question, and what does it do? It brings up a list of websites. And then you got to kind of do a rabbit hole deep dive and say, okay, this one looks good, and I'll get some information for this one. And then you got to go on to the next one. AI is every piece of information that exists in the entire universe that's already been compiled somehow, somewhere. It blows your mind to think about it. But when you ask a question, it instantly spits out the answer, and it's 90%, if not higher, accurate. And yes, it makes mistakes every once in a while. But then once it gives you an answer, it'll even query you. It'll take your question to the next level and say, do you want me to also tell you about this? Do you want me to also tell you about that? Can I refine this answer? And you can then say, yes, please give me more detail on X and such. And then in a millisecond, it'll give you more. And the more you interact with it, the more it gives you. And it seems to never run out of information. So it instantly summarizes the answer to your question. So yeah, it's a pretty amazing thing. And that's just the free version. Wouldn't it be amazing if you knew what your demand was going to be day by day, week by week? And this is all based on historical information. You remember I said that the more you use AI, the more it learns your business and the more important information it can give you. Also, effective ordering is a byproduct of that. If you knew exactly what your demand was going to be every week, where you didn't 86 anything, you had just-in-time inventory, there wasn't any waste or spoilage, right? That would be really amazing. And the historical information is based on the day of the week, the weather patterns historically, historic item sales. And when AI compiles all this information, it can literally give you a template for the future, which will help you order better, not 86 things, and reduce your waste. And you can do that with paid ChatGPT. This is interesting because I did some research here locally in Portland and also in Denver. And there is the highest grossing restaurant in Maine, and it does very nicely in the eight-figure sales range. And I walked in, and the number one thing they're doing with it is their chef is doing complete, menu engineering, and they're creating new recipes. And literally over time, it has learned what their existing menu is. And obviously there's staples on a menu that they would never take off. And they're buying certain ingredients, and they want to cross-utilize those ingredients across as many dishes as possible to reduce their waste and to make sure the throughput. And so that is giving them such an advantage where this chef can literally just type in, oh, I want a new chicken dish, and I want it to complement all the other menu items, and I want it to have a certain food cost, and I want it to have a certain profit, and bang, 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 and she presses the button, and it just gives her multiple options using the ingredients that she's already buying. So anyway, the current pain points are lost profit, of course, Generic item descriptions, we already talked about, that don't sell. I talk to so many restaurants on the road that haven't costed out their menus. They have absolutely no idea what it costs to serve this menu item to that guest. What's really important to them is variety and appeal to the guest, but profits are all over the place. And I've literally found hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost profits per year. I always had really, really funky names for all of our menu items, the chocolate peanut butter blast, the nachos avalanche, all those things, because it attracts attention. It captures the guest's imagination. It helps sell the product. And I see so many restaurants that just have the standard, the chicken parmesan, or the spaghetti and meatballs, or the, whatever, the blueberry pie on the dessert. But right now, you can type in a chat GPT, I serve blueberry pie at my restaurant, and I'd really like some really cool names where it'll attract attention. And you can just type that in, and all of a sudden it's going to come up with a whole laundry list of really exciting names that bring that to life. So that's one way to do it. Everything in my restaurants had to have wow factor, and it started with the food, where whenever you put a plate, any dish that came off the menu in front of a guest, we wanted every single plate to look amazing, to smell amazing, and to be camera worthy. And when you put it in front of the guests, they'd look at it. They didn't even want to cut into it. They'd show it to everyone else at the table and say, wow. And that was like marketing. They'd take pictures and then they'd share it on social media. And that had a marketing byproduct or by effect just due to that. So yeah, wow factor was really important. We want the service to have wow factor. We want the ambiance to have wow factor. And that was our competitive advantage. So absolutely.
The food, the service, the people, the atmosphere, the vibe.
New revenue center ideas. You can't have too many profit centers in your restaurant. And it goes beyond catering, and it goes beyond live music and arcades for kids and all this kind of stuff. Ask ChatGPT, what are profit centers in restaurants that really, really work? And it'll give you a long list of things. And you're like, oh, wow, I could do that. I never thought of that. So it's amazing. Never, never, never try to replace that word hospitality. Hospitality is still the foundation of this business. I always believe, and I know you do too, James, that hospitality is so vital to your concept. It's all about guest service. It's all about what makes you unique and special and why guests come to see you. Technology should only enhance hospitality. It should never replace it. You never want to remove that personal touch.
And of course, I do echo your point 4 there. Don't replace hospitality with technology. And it made me think about, I think probably 2-3 times in the last 6 months, I've been into some quick service concepts where the kiosk was the main ordering system, and the people that they could take your order for you, but their eyes were down. Like, they didn't want to talk to you. They didn't want to engage. And sometimes you just don't want to order with the kiosk. You want to talk to somebody. And I felt very uncomfortable, and I didn't enjoy that experience. And so if you are going, digital options, make sure your staff is still trained to maybe walk over and guide the folks. So it's not like folks are uncomfortable with it, but please don't lose that human touch that makes you special. We both agree with that. 100%, Raj.